Should I
Hi,
not
I'm
do that?
Julius, 37.
And I'm Mars, 40.
I live in Germany with my wife, our 2 sons, and our 2 dogs.
And I live in the Netherlands with my wife, our son, and our dog.
We are both entrepreneurs together with our wives.
And next to that, I am also employed.
We live very busy lives with very few spare time.
So we need to make sure we get the most out of our days.
We want to live healthy, develop ourselves,
and challenge ourselves.
And together with that, we want to be good husbands.
And a fun dad.
And that's why we're sticking to a strict regime.
For 75 consecutive days.
Welcome to Fatherly Grit, thriving through 75 hard. Yes. Welcome back to the next episode of Fatherly Grit. We had to hype ourselves up a bit because Mars and I had an incredibly busy day and we were a little bit tired. So we needed to get it a bit into the mood. So Mars, what's up?
Yeah, I think we managed to hype ourselves up. I think we did a good job there.
Yeah, I just put the kids to bed, and before that we had my older son had a friend over, and it was pouring rain, and they decided that it's a good idea to go outside, and
Nice.
The little one wanted to join them, and we have a soccer field next to our house, and they wanted to play soccer, and obviously I had to join them then because my younger son is not allowed to go outside alone. Yeah, and the result was that I had an intense, I would say, 1 hour soccer match, 3 against me, and we played the whole field, so no goalies allowed, and we played the whole field. So we had open goals, and I was on my own, and they are not as bad as in the passing game, even the 5-year-old. So with my fucked up ankle, but my new kicks, there was a lot of running. And I think I had a constant heart rate of 135 to 140. The 100-kilo guy who is lifting heavy but is not as intense of a runner.
I can totally picture it. Continue.
Every time they scored a goal, I said, okay, let's take a break. Really, give me a minute to kind of calm down, keep my breathing under control from the running. But I didn't.
Maybe we can get a cooperation with a company that is supplying oxygen tanks.
Yeah, that would be nice. But I didn't fall short, so I think I lost 8-5, which I feel like is okay.
Yeah.
You
still look like
they were humiliating
losing to a couple of kids. Come on, what's that?
Yeah, they were humiliating me at some point. So I lost the ball in their side of the field, and they ran down to my goal, and they exactly put the ball on the goal line, and my son dropped it in with his head when he got on it. That was humiliating. Yeah.
I learned last year a really, really, really nice word in English, and it's called shithousery. And this is the perfect example of shithousery.
Yeah. But they had fun. We were all completely drenched and dirty because it's a muddy field. But yeah, it was a fun thing for them. So
how many? This is good for your step count as well, I guess.
Yeah, and I was wondering if that counts as an outdoor workout.
Ooh.
I played soccer.
Actually, what you're trying to ask is hey, can I just go to bed early tonight and skip another
Yes,
one?
I have still my indoor workout open, and it's 8:43, so I definitely have to do my indoor workout, jump on the rowing machine, because I'm not going to make it to the gym today.
Well, what's the definition of a workout? Is it having your heart rate above a certain rate all the time?
I don't know, but my average. So I tracked it just out of curiosity, and my average heart rate was between 125 and 130 all the time.
Then I'd say
I would say it's a workout.
Yeah, it's like zone 2 or zone 3 cardio.
yeah. And let's see how it looks. And the most challenging part is, and I told you that before, I'm incredibly sore in a really delicate place because I had leg day 2 days ago, and I had the great idea on go onto kind of the abductor and adductor machine, which
Yeah.
I use the derogatory term gyno machine, because and my inner thighs are so sore. Really, it's exhausting.
I
But
think those machines are probably the machines which are the least being used in a gym. I've to be honest, I've only seen women on there, and only occasionally. I think those machines are empty the most amount of time.
I told you about the lingerie girls, right? And
Yeah.
the ones that are kind of, in my eyes, not really wear proper gym wear. As a conservative grandpa that I am, and they're using it. So I learned, because I was more likely nearby because I trained legs, and they talked about you can train your glutes with them somehow, obviously, and that is kind of the outer to get a wider hip. I don't know, to support your butt. I have no idea, but there. So between in the fuck by window, the machines are constantly um, in use. Yeah.
And they're probably looking around like, hey, can someone see me?
Mhm. Can
Is
somebody
someone
spot
looking
me?
at me?
Can somebody spot me? I actually did bench press yesterday, and I can't remember the last time I asked somebody to spot me, because I did the first time like 90 kilos on the bench, and I was like a bit, ooh, that's getting risky for me at least, because I haven't bench pressed in a while. So I asked somebody to help me or just spot me. I didn't need help, but to just be safe out there.
But then the right question. I've been there, like when I was training like a couple of years ago, I was also doing the 90s, the 100 kilos, and then I was always thinking like, okay, the third or the fourth set, if I do the proper amount of reps that I want to do, I'm probably gonna go into failure, and I don't want to lay there with the bar on my throat
Yeah,
or something.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And I started wondering, like, who am I gonna ask? Because first of all, uh, I don't know, I didn't feel comfortable going to the big guys somehow, but then again, I didn't want to go to the, I don't know, the skinnier guys because they may not be able to lift it.
You need two of
So
them, one left and one right.
you can ask these groups of 14 years olds that you were describing. They're always with
Yeah,
4 or 5.
yeah. The minion
But who
squad.
did you ask?
There was a big guy next to me, benching like 130, and I think he's the proper contact to say, "Hey, haven't benched in a while, so could you just spot me?" And he was like, "Yeah, can do that." Came over and helped me. He was super nice.
Did
And actually, on my last, I was like, "Okay, I'm just going to do 5 to 6, and I can get that. I'm not going to completely maxed out because it was my first like set. But he, without me asking him, he just came over and spotted me. Just so that was nice.
Nice,
That,
nice.
I feel like that is,
Gym bros.
yeah, and kind of old school gym culture, because
Yeah.
a lot of people are just training on their own and kind of asking, when you train alone, asking is not, or offering to support is not. That was nice. That was cool.
I've been asked to spot as well once, and I was wearing shorts, and and I was very self-conscious, thinking, how do I stand without this looking pretty awkward? So I stood a bit backwards, but then I had to, like he was benching, I don't know, 120 or something, and I
Hmm.
had to spot him. And I was benching 90 back then. And if you stand too far away from the bar, there's no
Can't
way
help.
that I can pull up the 120 if I need to.
Mhm.
So I felt pretty awkward spotting him, to be honest. So I think afterwards I never really worked out in shorts anymore.
You said, and so if I spot you, is there an issue that I drag my sweaty nuts around your forehead? And he's like, yeah, that's part of the deal, man. That's the reason why I'm doing and asking you. You with the short short. There is a skit years ago from a Jackass or Bad Grandpa or something like that, where Johnny Knoxville kind of
Yeah.
get into costume of this old man and go into the gym and had like his sack hanging out of his pants.
Oh, I like how this podcast is taking a weird turn.
Yeah, we're getting off strong today.
But today, this afternoon, I got a text from a friend of mine, and he was in the gym and he was listening to the previous podcast, and he was like, "Oh, it's nice to see that I'm in the gym together with the influencers." If you now think back, if he's with the influencers, makes him unemployed,
Or retired? Is
or
he retired? No,
or
I
a
don't think so.
retired grandpa. I called him the retired grandpa to make him
Yeah.
feel better.
Yeah. You bum. You're just there for the shower.
Yeah, because it's free.
But just to close out kind of my window, so week wasn't too exciting. I went through the tasks. Yeah, went to the gym, worked out. I'm feeling good. There was one time I felt like I didn't eat enough, so I was there and I had to kind of shorten the workout a little bit. I did do 45 minutes, but I didn't feel right. And then I next day I upped a little bit my kind of calorie intake, and then it felt better. But we are going to talk a bit about it in a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, but aside that, I'm still reading my mindset book. It's a good read. I'm happy that I chose that one. And
How
I
far
already
along are you?
I think 2/3. And we definitely have to talk about it at some point, because I think this fixed mindset and flexible mindset or grow mindset, I think, is pretty cool to talk about, and something everyone should think about, especially when they're interested in kind of how they can develop themselves and how
Yeah.
they actually live their life, because that
Is it
is
connected to the video that you sent me the other day with the list of goals that you have to write
yeah
down 10
yeah
goals and pick
yeah
one of them
yeah
and
yeah that's a part of yeah, but it comes down, the list is part of it, but the other thing is how you receive feedback and how you act on it. And are you willing to learn from feedback and grow, or are you just more likely mad and not accepting the fact that you have flaws and you're not really willing to kind of develop yourself because you
yeah.
think you are the superior one, right?
Does it also give you the technique how to ask for the proper feedback and ask the right questions when you get feedback?
um yes, but not into, so maybe that will follow in the book.
Yeah.
But they are referencing kind of a lot of stories, an example of kind of specific situation where, in comparison, a fixed mindset comes into a grow mindset, especially when it comes down to leadership. So different CEOs, Enron was a part of, is a case study there, the failed advisory, or automotive company, or Intel, for example, which is a really good example when it comes down to kind of a grow mindset from leadership. So yeah, but I don't want to go into deep. I think that when I'm done with the book, we should take like 10 minutes and I can talk a bit more about it.
Yeah.
Um yeah, but
Sounds interesting.
family is healthy. The challenge went by good, no issues regarding the workout, water, anyways, everything is fine. Still like fighting regarding food and this whole no cheating, and that's annoying as fuck.
Yeah, I was thinking of that. I was last time like the only thing I asked is like, what is your craving? But it triggered me a bit. So what do you do actively in order to prevent yourself from cheating?
I try to pick up something healthy or just some food. It doesn't matter. So nothing like which is in the range of how I kind of define my diet. Yeah. But I think that is part of I still kind of eat too much. But it's not a challenge. So I'm just trying to eat healthy and stick to kind of
Mm.
the plan I had. Um yeah. But I definitely could kind of cancel one of the portions out. And I'm still do the fasting. So I'm on my, I think, day 30 of my so I fasted every day,
Yeah.
at least 15 to 16 hours. And I have no idea what's my average. Yesterday were 21 hours. The day before were 24 hours. Yeah. So I'm at my day 30. Today is day 30 of me integrating intermediate fasting. I still haven't done this 36. That is something I want to do by the end of this week. I was on the path there, and then I decided no, I want to work out. I have to eat something at least after that. So
Is there some kind of theory behind it? Because uh, is 36 then doing something extra or better than
yeah, autophagy.
24 or
So
16?
cell renewance. So the body after like 21, I would say 21, 22 hours, um, a, autophagy, this is a difficult word, is coming into play where the body starts to kind of renew its cells and kicks out kind of old cells and dysfunctioning cells and stuff like that. It's a really interesting process. If you're interested in that, there is a lot. Yeah, search in Panda, obviously, but there are a couple of super interesting YouTube channels, for example, there that talk about
Yeah.
that in extent.
Is it
Yeah.
in the book that you read as well?
Yeah, but that was not because it's such a kind of additional topic, and Search and Ponder in that case didn't touch it because it was more involved in like weight loss and how kind of sleeping is connected.
Mm.
So autophagy wasn't as touched, as intensive as it could have been potentially, but I think that's not part of his research in that case.
Yeah. Okay.
So Mars, what's going on? You were tired,
Yeah.
and you said you had a pretty busy day. Um,
Yeah, I had a pretty busy day at the office. And then, like the office is a very calm environment, very calm space. Then before I knew it, it was time to head home again. I hadn't finished the presentation, which I wanted to finish. And then, I'm still busy in my head. A task is not done. I cannot check the box and cross it off my list. And then I get home, and there's a lot going on at home. We're cooking, and we need to empty the dishwasher. Ziggy is obviously there and active and on. My wife is there, and it's heavy for me. Like it's a bit of an overload of input, and yeah, I tend to have difficulties with that. I have the feeling, but I'm not 100% sure, that it got a bit more intense. Maybe since we're doing this challenge, I don't know. Um, no clue if this could be connected in any way, but yeah, I had to. After dinner, we directly put Ziggy to bed, and I had to pack my stuff to get here for our podcast. So I'm trying to calm down now, get my feet back on the ground. But
is
apart
it
from that,
is it for you that you got just agitated when there's too much going on and you have like difficulties to kind of connect and arrive, so that it's so overwhelming that you kind of that you getting a little bit tense there, or is it?
um, without making it bigger than it might be, I've done some tests in the last half year to see whether I could be on the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
And according to these tests, and obviously it's not an official test, it's just a test that, like several tests that I found online. But there is a probability that I could be somewhere on the spectrum. I can really have difficulties with. I'm searching for the word. With influxes from external influxes. And I know that a lot of people have to deal with that, especially after the COVID period, where people were used to less busy environments and everything. But I've had this all my life already.
Yeah.
I also have a couple of other symptoms, if we speak in those kind of terms, where, for instance, I can be in my focus zone and I can zone out everything around me. Yosha is sometimes talking to me and I'm just in my zone and there is no way to connect with me. And as soon as she then managed to, get through my barrier and get through into my head, I can really, respond in a super agitated, annoyed, or angry way,
Mm-hmm.
without me really meaning to respond in such way. So yeah, I have
Interesting.
these things, and this is something that I've been looking into, and I've tried to work actively on it. But when I get hungry, it tends
You
to
get
be a bit
hangry.
more. I definitely get angry. But so far, and this is something that I was thinking, with the intermittent fasting, and I'm now doing um, at least 3 days a week. I'm doing the 16 hours in between meals.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go towards longer as well.
And are
I
you
was
going to do
thinking,
it a full week, so every day, or are you going to say, okay, I'm just going to stay like 12 hours, and then 3 hours, 3 days a week, 16, 8, or 24, or something like that?
yeah, I want to see if I can push it a bit more. So, like, go to maybe all the days or 5 days a week for 16 hours and, like, extend it in such a way. Um, I was scared of the fact that I'd be super hungry and therefore hangry. That didn't happen. Um, uh,
When you drink enough water, that shouldn't happen.
exactly.
When
Yeah.
you stay hydrated, I think that is not going to be the case.
No. The only fun thing is I tend to, lately, last week and this week, I feel like I'm getting more hungry in the last hour, or
Mm-hmm.
let's say my stomach it's getting louder.
Mm-hmm.
So last
Mm-hmm.
week I was in a business call together with my manager, and she was sitting next to me, and we were both on the same laptop because hers was broken. And at a certain point, she just looked at me and said, "Are you hungry?" I was like, "Can you tell?"
Bit.
Yeah,
A bit.
it was.
Already
My
craving.
stomach can get loud.
Uh,
But
Interesting.
yeah, if we go back to the list, I think yeah, the food part is easy. The clean eating is easy. The healthy eating, the at least 12 hours between meals, no problem there. 3 liters of water or tea, no problem there. So all those things, check, check, check. Workout, fine as well. I must say that last week I had pretty much, I spoke about it in the last podcast. I had a pretty stiff back, and I found out that I was not stretching enough my front side of the legs, so the quadriceps and the hip flexor. And since I started, stretching those more and more, my hip started to loosen up. Last weekend I went to the physio. He relocated my hip a bit, and that's fine again. So yesterday I did a nice, heavy, intense core workout. I got the frustration again of this guy, easily breathing, laughing a bit, talking to everyone, and man, I felt like a wussy. but yeah, soon I'm gonna start doing the regular stuff like kettlebell swings again.
Nice.
The only difficult part, oh yeah, reading, not an issue, definitely not. The only difficult part is the mindfulness. Somehow I need to get it in my system to do it before I walk Frankie, like our dog, before I
At
go to
night.
bed, because
Mhm.
it's been more than once a week that I had, like I did the last walk with Frankie, I get in bed, my wife was already in bed, or we went to bed together, and in bed I was like, oh damn, I need to do the mindfulness. And obviously that goes a bit past the sense of the mindfulness exercise.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Okay.
I did do it every day, but yeah, I need to get that better in my system.
And potentially not right before you go to bed because you're already like getting a little bit tired and melatonin is kicking in a bit, right?
Yeah, but although it is nice if we lay in bed together and we talk about our nice things of our day, because it gives
Mhm.
me an insight in my wife's day a bit more as well,
Mhm.
a
Mhm.
bit deeper than, hey, what have you done? How was your day? Did you have nice customers, etc.
Mhm.
So yeah, but this is called fatherly grid. I have a nice positive effect of this entire challenge, because every time that I wake up early and I do my reading in the morning or do my exercise in the morning, I'm really happy and energetic when Ziggy wakes up.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
last week, he had 3 huge ass diapers, like massive. And I'm talking,
Back
it
to back,
was,
like
yes, back to back,
wow.
the front side was covered in shit as well, and
Ooh.
then the back side, it came out of the diaper
I'm
already.
so happy that that's over for me.
Yeah. And usually if I'd be woken up by him, I wouldn't be completely awake. I would pick him up and
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
oh
Mhm.
damn, you stink. And I'd be like, oh man, why? But now I was awake, and it happened 3 times, and 3 times with no two times out of 3 I did. I was already awake, and I did it without an issue, no
Mhm.
problem. I could joke with him. There's really not a problem. And the third time I was woken up by him, and again already I had difficulties with it. I was like, oh.
Oh.
So last week he had it 3 times, and 2 of those times was when I was already awake and had already done a workout or my reading. No issue, no problem. I just picked him up. We cleaned him together. I was joking with him and I was happy, no problem. But the third time I was woken up by him. I hadn't done any exercise. I hadn't woken up easily yet. And I had so many difficulties. I was like, oh, why this diaper? Why?
Mhm.
So there is a nice positive effect of getting up early and getting shit done.
In
Shit done.
it should not. Yeah.
No pun intended.
No pun intended, right. Um, yeah, that's cool. Potentially because you already kind of started to get rid of the cortisol. And um, I think I'm not an expert that, but that is the thing I took away from like the circadian clock thing, potentially.
Yeah.
Um, I wanted to talk a bit more about your reading because you said it's a really really nice experience,
Yeah.
and we already shouted out the author um, on a previous posting, and she saw it, and that made us really happy.
Very
Um,
happy.
so, do you want to talk a bit more about it?
Yeah. So I'm reading, for those who haven't heard it yet, I'm reading Socrates on Sneakers from Elke Wiss. She's a Dutch author. I don't even know if the book is available in English. Probably it is, right?
It is in English. I looked it
Yeah.
up as
Ah,
we
okay.
included it in the show notes.
Oh yeah, of course we did. I forgot. um, but it is a really nice book, and how to introduce it? Well, Socrates basically said, "I know that I know nothing," and with that he meant, if I have the attitude of not knowing anything and ask about all the things that people tell me, I will get to a deeper conversation. I'll get to the complete truth of it. I get to, like the whole picture. Um, and obviously, I'm paraphrasing. My apologies if I do a very bad impression of the book. But what I find interesting is that you learn how to have a proper conversation by asking the right questions, by listening in the right way. Because apparently, she distinguishes three ways of listening. There's the way of listening that someone tells a story and you directly are in the me mode. I'll just translate it in my own way. And the me mode is like, hey, what would I do? Hey, what do I think about it? And usually people tend to, like give advices or say, oh yeah, I had the same thing. I did this and this. Or maybe you should try that and that. Or, oh, that's annoying. Yeah. But it doesn't get you into the conversation further. The second way of listening is the you way. So if you tell me a story, um, I would think about, hey, how is this for you? What is this experience doing to you? What do you feel during this experience? And it brings up a lot of questions in your mind directly. So you could directly say, like, okay, I understand that this happened. Why did it make you feel agitated, or why did it make you respond in such and such manner? With that, like in if you listen in the me way, you'd be like, you would think like, hey, I know why he responded in that way. I know that he did it because he's impatient. Maybe it's not because he's impatient, but maybe there's a different reason. But you fill in things for the other. So I notice that I listen in the me way a lot. um, Last weekend I had a discussion with my wife, and I did a lot of thinking in the me way, which, like she brought up something that was bothering her in a couple of things that I had said in the past weeks, um, and without asking, like, okay, why did it make you feel this way, or how did it make you feel exactly, and what was it that I said? I just assumed, like something in my head, and it didn't lead to a constructive conversation. Afterwards, I thought about the book, and I thought about, okay, why does she bring up this topic? What is it that triggered her? I started asking the questions which I should have asked her. So one of the things that I find difficult is how to put this into practice. And it would be really interesting if we could get Elke Wiss on the podcast.
Yeah.
It
I
may
was thinking, I was thinking of the same thing. So shout out to her,
shout out.
and we are going to put up the pressure, and that would be nice that she could,
Yeah,
if there is a possibility that she could give us a bit more insights in her thinking and how to maybe use the tips she's giving and the insights she's giving in the books in our daily lives. That would be really cool.
definitely.
So, yeah,
Cool.
join us. Well, we would highly appreciate it.
Highly appreciated.
Yeah. Anything else that bothered you and you felt like, okay, that was difficult, or that it was a challenge in my week, aside from the
Um,
tasks we have?
no, not really. For the rest, everything's going well, and we're on day 30 or 31. To be honest, I think time flies by, actually.
Yeah. Have you? I was thinking the same thing as I checked today and was like, we are already more likely 50% done. That's awesome.
Big congrats to us.
Yeah. Tap on our shoulders.
Yes.
um,
Hey, but
but
I got a question from one of the listeners.
Yeah.
Well, actually, from two of the listeners. And I think that you are an educated chef. You know quite a lot about food. And they were wondering two things. And one of the things is, okay, you're talking about healthy food, clean food, but what is that exactly? Maybe it would be good to have both our perspectives on that. And they were wondering, okay, I hear you guys talking about drinking coffee, but why is coffee still in the diet if you want to eat clean?
Okay. So that's a two-part question. Let's answer the easy one first. So I feel like coffee. Um, so I'm trying to, I'm trying to don't consume as much caffeine. So I have potentially one black coffee. Um, and I don't think why should that be, especially black coffee. Why should that be part of, or why should that be canceled out in my diet? Because it's just water with a little bit of taste and caffeine. Um, I don't drink too much coffee based on the fact that I don't want to fuck up my internal clock too much. Um,
Yeah,
since I just learned it will stay in your system too long, so I just restrict myself between like 11 and 1, and that the result is more likely one large cup of coffee. Or not even every day. So I'm not as addicted as my wife, as she did get headaches when she's not consuming enough caffeine over the
ooh,
day.
yeah,
Um, and the other thing is, yeah, what is clean? My definition of clean nutrition or clean food is that I'm trying to avoid highly processed food. So um, nothing which comes along with more like I feel like 5 ingredients or something like that. I try to stay, or I stay away from like the frozen section. Obviously, not the veggies. And for example, I just had like a curry, but it curry veggie mix, and I included the curry paste there.
yeah,
So, and yeah, that is my definition of like clean food. You could discuss, for example, when it comes down to vegan stuff, and I tend to eat an egg, an vegan egg salad sandwich, for example, which contains like a little bit of mayo, vegan mayo, and tofu and stuff like that. Is this still like healthy? In my opinion, yes, because my definition is I want to um, eat as like vegan as possible and stay vegan as possible, and yeah, just look out that I don't dumpster dive and eat garbage. That is my intention. And for example, I'm trying to cancel pasta. I love pasta and I love like noodles and stuff like that, but I switched the normal like wheat pasta um, to like chickpea pasta or lentil pasta, for
yeah,
example. That is, in definition, highly processed food because lentils don't come in pasta forms, obviously.
they don't.
But again, as I have to up my protein intake, that is a good option. And just eating lentils and chickpeas in pure form. I
Hmm.
made an amazing vegan salsiccia bolognese yesterday with chickpea pasta, and it tasted. It was amazing. It was
Yeah,
awesome. Um,
getting hungry
so
now.
that is more likely my definition. I think when you talk to like a typical normal bodybuilder, they would say clean food is like veggies, rice, and chicken. You know,
Yeah,
um, I think it really depends how you see it. And you can say, okay, I eat fries every day because I cut the potatoes myself and I put it in the the fryer. Um, it's a one ingredient dish, but that's not my definition. And
no,
so no burgers. Um, I ate a pizza on the weekend, but I completely did it by myself. And
yeah,
so all the stuff that went on, aside from like the vegan cheese, um, I prepped the dough and stuff like that. So I looked out that I had like clean and good ingredients. And I
Yeah.
looked it up on the Reddit forum before I prepped it, just making sure that if it fits into your diet and is part of kind of the definition of what you're going to eat, that is okay.
If
Yeah.
you were to prepare a pasta and you have these ready-made sauces in a jar, would that be allowed? The ready-made sauce?
The thing with these ready-made sauces, there is a lot of sugar in there. If you check kind of the list of ingredients and the table where it's showcased, they're adding so much sugar in that stuff. And tomatoes already contain a lot of sugar. And yeah, I feel like how you define kind of your real, but I tend to stay away from it. Especially,
Yeah, same.
I told you yesterday I went to the supermarket and saw that they're now, so a typical Barilla sauce hashtag no ad is now selling for around €5, which just blows my mind, because I could buy for a tomato paste or a bottle of tomato sauce or already mixed up tomatoes for like €1.50,
Yeah, it's
and add
crazy.
all the spicing and the garlic, and I wouldn't, I think, come over like €2 for a
Yeah.
liter and not just 0.3. It blew my mind that we are at a point where stuff like that, it got so expensive.
It makes it so difficult for some people to really eat clean, right? Because it feels a bit like we're going towards, like what I don't know everything. I don't live there, but what in my impression they have in the US, where if you want to go to, I don't know, Whole Foods is I think one of the big supermarkets with
Super
clean, good,
expensive. Yeah.
super expensive. If you
Yeah.
don't have 6 jobs or if you're not a lawyer, apparently you cannot buy your stuff there. So
But on the other hand, you can go to the frozen section and buy yourself like frozen broccoli and stuff like that. You are still able to afford, and I think it's still
yeah,
affordable to buy your greens and your veggies. I think, and meat is getting more and more expensive, but I feel like that we are moving in the right direction based on the fact that the production is so expensive and so harmful for the environment. And now kind of the vegan, I don't care normally about this stuff, but from the prices to produce this product
mm,
are getting so high that the prices have to go up at some point.
yeah, yeah.
And nobody, so because the discussion always comes along when it came down to welfare, for example, and I think that is a super, yeah, really mm, hot topic and a lot of discuss about, but I feel like nobody is forced to eat shitty. Nobody. You can
Right.
have a good clean eating if you put a little bit of effort into it, and you can get your veggies, and they are on sale from time to time. You go to the frozen section. um, Most of the veggies in the frozen section even contain more vitamins, for example, and more nutrients than the ones that are in the fresh section, based on the fact that they are so polluted with light, and the cycle of like being out in the open, of losing vitamins through the influence of light, is so much higher than the ones that are frozen. So um, yeah.
Yeah, I feel that a lot of people do not eat healthy due to a lack of A, effort, and B, perhaps education. I think
Yeah,
there's a really,
you don't
really
learn that.
big
You don't
role
learn
in
that stuff in school.
exactly, and I think they should. I think there's a documentary from Michael Moore where he goes to all the different countries in Europe. And I think in France, they have a really good thing where the children in elementary school, they maybe not in everywhere in France, but here in this particular village, little town or whatsoever, they went. They had a really, really good chef in the elementary school, and the children would always have food at school, and they would always be taught what it is they are eating, how it's being prepared, where it comes from, so that children do not think, hey, cabbage is coming from the supermarket. No, it comes from the land. and they learn about the which vitamins are in which foods and everything. And I think this is such an important thing. I
Yeah.
mean, if I look around, and I think now in the Netherlands they're gonna introduce this sugar tax. I see so many young kids walking around with like Coca-Cola or these energy drinks, and it's so harmful for kids especially.
Yeah,
They're not
especially.
being
I
taught
agree.
about healthy food.
Yeah.
Um, so if I were to answer the question about, so what do you consider healthy food and what do you eat, I indeed tend to stay away from the ready-made sauces as well. I try to make those myself with like the canned tomatoes, smash them a bit, or even buy fresh tomatoes, smash them, and add oregano, add some pepper, salt, these kind of things. And obviously, a lot of fresh vegetables. Cut everything myself. Um, if we are talking about fries, we sometimes make our own sweet potato fries or regular potato fries, put them in the air fryer, do not put them in like an oil fryer, and obviously eat it with a lot of vegetables. Um,
And
I
stay away
don't.
from the TV while you eat.
Oh, definitely. We never eat in front of the TV.
Yeah. Because
That that's
that
for us
distracts
like
you
a family
from food.
moment.
Yeah. Yeah. I let my so for future and for people who are listening, and so I let my at least my oldest son is not too interested in kind of helping me in the kitchen, but my younger son is. And I actually bought him a kitchen knife and I don't know what the word is. So when you prep carrots and get rid of kind of the outside thing,
Yeah,
scraper, I think, is it scraper?
peeler,
I don't.
scraper.
A
I don't
peeler,
know.
yeah, a peeler. Um, I'm happy to put that onto the Amazon kind of thing as well, onto the list in our show notes because it's has like safety things, um, so the kids can use kind of the knife safely and the peeler safely. It has like a finger protection, but he already kind of learned how to cut properly and prepare food. So he's
That's
accompanying,
awesome.
he's helping me in the kitchen from time to time. Um, I have to get used to it because I tend to be like the lone wolf in the kitchen, and that is my area. So get the fuck out of here and don't disturb me when I'm doing my stuff.
You have a
But
weird man cave, man.
yeah, my kitchen is my man cave here. But I'm getting more used to it, and I really I'm really trying to encourage him more to take part of it. Um, Obviously, it's getting a little bit more stressful. So when we have like not as much time, and I just need to get stuff done, um, then I tend him to kind of, yeah, sorry, today is not a good day. Um,
Yeah.
or I just tend to give him like one small thing to prep, and I just speed through it so I don't have to give him anything else. um, yeah, but he having his own equipment um, is kind of for him an encouragement to get involved more, and that's cool.
And he probably thinks it's cool, right, to help dad.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but it's the same when you outside and chopping woods or whatever manly thing you're doing. Kids are it's interesting to see because they're then constantly around, or you're building things and I want to take part of it. Um, yeah, that's it.
We
So
we we're doing the same at the moment. So Ziggy, even though he's 1.5 years old, we try to get him involved in kitchen stuff as much as possible. So for his first birthday, we received this Montessori learning tower.
mhm.
It's a fancy word for just a nice little wooden step with like a sort of
Yeah,
a fence around it, so he can
yeah,
stand
I know what you're
safely
talking about.
at the
Yeah,
same height. And he's got his own tiny kitchen, and obviously we can't put that one on our countertop, but we get a couple of his pots and pans, we get a couple of his knives, etc., which is plastic, don't worry, people. um, and he does his own thing. We give him a couple of cherry tomatoes already chopped, because otherwise he might choke in it, and he
yeah,
just puts it into his pots and pans. And when we were making mashed potatoes from sweet potatoes, we gave him a tiny bit of potatoes and a masher, and he started mashing his own. He loves it.
Yeah.
And the best thing is, we don't need to put him in front of a television because he's, annoyed
Occupied.
that he's occupied with helping. And the
Yep.
same thing, and maybe this is a bit out of the book where people think, okay, maybe too young, but we help him empty the dishwasher. Obviously not the knives, but we give him a glass, a cup, whatsoever, and we tell him, okay, can you put it in that cupboard? Can you put it in that cupboard? And the funny thing is, yesterday, Yosha told me that he got the how do you call those things? The trough, the food thing for the dog. He got it
Yeah,
out
yeah,
of
yeah.
so he got those two out of the dishwasher. He put them in place where the dog is always having them.
Oh,
And there was
nice.
a tiny plastic cup with water for the time being. And he took that one and poured the water in the trough for the
Yeah,
dog
nice. Yeah.
without Yosha telling him to do it. It was amazing to see.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, you don't realize how much they pick up from you.
It's incredible.
That's true. Yeah. We had another topic
We're
prepared, but I think we have to talk about it next time. It's about kind of parenting and how people from the outside or the parent bubble are seeing stuff. But
yeah.
we don't have much time left. But I want to talk about, as we touched again, like supplements, nutrition. I
Yes.
feel like it's important when you do so much workout and you're roundabout. I just checked my step count from last week, and I'm averaging now 15,000 steps every day. And I actually kind of turn on my phone as well to double check if my Fitbit is or my Google Watch is picking up correctly, and I was in like a 500 step range. So it seems like that's right.
Wow. I'm
Are
just
you
below
doing
12,000 a day.
are you doing any supplements or stuff like that?
No, I'm not doing anything, and I feel like I should, because getting into this new lifestyle is obviously having its effects. But you're taking supplements, right?
Yeah. So so basic stuff, multivitamin, just to making sure, additional zinc, iron, um vitamin B12, 2000 international units of vitamin D. And I think iron.
Magnesium.
Yeah, and 400 milligrams of magnesium before I go to bed, and magnesium citrate, I think it was, because it's easier or it's easier for the body to consume. You actually send it out to me. I ordered it from you because I bought it the last time in the Netherlands, and it's cheaper to import it than to buy it here or online, in the quality I would like to have.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah, and
when do you take which supplements? What time of
so
day?
the vitamins I take in the morning, together with like your first half a liter to a liter of water.
Hmm.
Magnesium I take right before I go to bed, and the other thing I take is creatine. 5 grams of creatine every day, potentially in my protein shake. So I have like an additional protein shake every day, vegan protein shake, with like
Hmm.
between 30 and 40 grams of like protein powder, and then I put like the 5 grams of creatine in there.
And what
And
does creatine do? What is it good for?
yeah, a couple of things. A brain function is a part of it. It helps you to concentrate. There are a couple of studies that are pretty interesting. There's a lot of I think that is the most discussed topic on YouTube, for example, and the most studied supplement in the world when it comes down to kind of nutrition in sports. The other thing is it helps you to don't be too sore. So getting back on track, helping to in regards of recovery. And since it takes or kind of gets more water in the muscles, it helps it helps you with your strength as well. So
Okay.
so when I take a look at all kind of my numbers that I'm pulling in now, I feel like that is a vital part of me taking creatine. It made a huge step in regards of the weights I'm able to move back and forth in whatever direction there is.
Yeah.
So
And just one more thing, back to the magnesium. You said you take it right before going to bed. Why then, and why not in the morning?
because it's a two-part. Magnesium is part of the muscle recovery, so helps in regards of muscle recovery. And when you rest, obviously the recovery takes place, so you support muscle recovery. And apparently it helps your sleep. So especially kind of in this amount, and that kind of magnesium is supporting your sleep.
Okay.
Yeah, and I need as much support as I can.
We need our sleep, people. We need it.
Yeah. So, but let's come to an end really quick, because I feel like we are going to hit an hour. Really
Can I say
quick.
one more thing? Because
Yes.
we spoke very shortly about coffee and caffeine. This morning I listened to a Huberman Lab episode about caffeine. Very, very interesting stuff. I think we should put that link in the show note. But there are proven positive effects of caffeine if taken at the right moment and in the right doses. Very short outtake, and I'm paraphrasing. Best is to listen to his podcast, but wait at least 90 to 120 minutes after waking up with taking your first dose of coffee. In one, he calls it one bout or one sitting, take maximum 1 to 3 milligram per kilo body weight of caffeine. And one bout of coffee, if you sit down and have 1 or 2 or 3 cups of coffee, then that is considered the bout of coffee. So either 1 cup or 3 cups, it's still one bout. And make sure to, I think he said 8 to 12 hours before you go to bed, to not take any more caffeine. So preferably in the afternoon, do not drink any caffeine, because it will disturb your sleep. It may not disturb how you fall asleep, but it still has an effect while you're sleeping. And I think the circadian clock is affected by it, if I say it correctly.
So I was right all the time.
Yes. But now Mr. Huberman has said it as well.
Yeah. Okay. Fair point. All right. Coming to an end. So nothing excited through this week. We have a hockey tournament on Sunday, but that's it. So I'm able to kind of pull through and do my thing. I'm going to get my blood work stuff, I hope, by the end of this week, so we can talk a bit about it next week.
Yeah.
And your end?
Perhaps I have a party on Saturday, but it's sort of a family party, so I'd bring Ziggy, so I'd be home relatively early, and it's my father-in-law's birthday on Friday, so I think we're gonna go there for dinner, and then obviously it's gonna be interesting. How do I fit my stuff in there? But I think early morning workout and try to do the reading somewhere during the day, and it'll be fine.
Looking forward
Yes.
to see what's going to happen after the weekend. So Mars, thank you. And
Thank you.
see you next week. It was fun. And let's hope we are not hitting the hour mark today.
Yeah, I do feel like it was all very interesting stuff, but that's just me.
It is.
Let's see what our listeners think.
Yeah. Alrighty then. Have a great evening, and looking forward to talk to you.
Yes. All right. Bye bye.
All right. Bye.